Hello! We are spending an afternoon with Mirror's Edge. This is one of my favourite games. It is very flawed, but what it does do right, very few other games have pulled off. And I'm increasing the FOV. So, your basic interactions are running, jumping, and rolling, basically. And it's quite nice having a relatively simple control scheme for something like this, especially when the method of getting about is so unusual to most players as of the time of its release. Once this is done. Also, I love the sound effects. Like, you can hear the that plane, and you can hear the cars underneath. And definitely with these first-person animations, you get a real sense of placement in the world. You can actually see right there, the problem with this method of combat in the first person is that there is no magnetization. Music cue. Oh, that's so good. Even though things aren't at really high texture qualities or lighting, it has such a strong sense of style. You will notice that going up to full speed takes a long time. It probably takes the entire platform. Now, when you sidestep, for whatever reason, it puts you at full speed instantly. So, there. I think it would have been better if you couldn't do it from a stop, but maybe if you were going like this. Which I think was the intended use. There are police people over there, so I'm going to go. This chase sequence, this entire level actually, does a wonderful job of easing you into the game, except for this section, where, I mean, you can do that, but you can actually completely run past these guys. The problem is when you come to a full stop, the combat is a lot clunkier. One of the other touches I really like is that at the start of a lot of the levels, Faith will look at where she's going. That means that you're always keeping in mind where you're actually going and what you're doing in every level. Oh wow! Oh my god! That's the ship from the Horrible Docks level that's coming up. Oh. That is one of a couple of rats you will actually see in the game. It's a really nice touch to have this pristine city and then the presence of rats within it. And loading screens! I hope you enjoy pace-breaking loading screens, because we're getting more of those. Many more. I really like the use of first-person cutscenes in not breaking the immersion. However, here it comes. Oh, it's so awkward! Also FOV. Yeah, that's the problem with holding a first-person perspective when you're not yet truly in the shoes of the protagonist. You can sort of get a bit lost, and it's true that you can hold Alt to see where you're going, but if you're in motion, see, it pulls you towards it. It would have been better if it made you look at the destination without changing the direction you're running in. So much credit has to go to the animations in first person here. Even the act of rolling, something you do so much, has been made to not be too disorienting but still be very convincing. I can't imagine what this does to people with, is it called simulation sickness? And the change in colour, pink here, blue before, and now we're into an orange area. Okay, let's look at the combat. I can't avoid it forever. Well, I can, for the most part, until the very end. It's very loose. It's not very clear when you've done damage. The intention is that if you're outnumbered, you still can't win, which I can respect, but then it chucks, at least in one of the last levels or two, it chucks arenas of enemies at you. Combat is not the strength of this game, and you will discover that as this progresses. Time to appreciate the texture quality. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I mean, is it fair to judge it for its texture quality? Yeah. It still looks great even now, just as a result of its art style. Making all, the majority of the textures white does a great amount to not only giving it a distinct art style and making it last the test of time, but also in a gameplay sense, because you can see where you need to go next much more clearly. Like, this is bright red against white. Now I know what I'm meant to do. These lasers are red. Instead of having a health bar, all they have to do is put a silly vignette in the corners, desaturate the colors a bit, and it shows you exactly when you're losing health and when you're getting it back. All of this is stuff where, when I did a little research, I found I think it was the creative director had cited these as intentional decisions. But interestingly, there's another rat. Interestingly, they weren't decisions that started at the very beginning. Let's enjoy one of these slow valve turning segments. They actually hadn't planned that at the very beginning. And according to the senior producer, senior producer, Owen O'Brien, he says that they contacted the team that they were working, they partially outsourced it, and they went, oh, actually, could you make most of this white? And, well, they did, which is good of them, because I think the results really show. If this was a whole mess of color, it would have looked good compared to the brown and beige of that generation. But in a gameplay sense, it may have been a little too messy. Here he is. This is the one where if you're fast enough, you can completely break the sequence. Just using the... There we go. See? Definitely check out a speedrun for this game. Not only because they're very quick, and it's one of those things you can sit down, in an afternoon. No, less than an afternoon. Less than an hour and watch. But there's just so much to enjoy. I love that. Something about the speed lines in the corner. Well, it's not speed lines so much, it's just blurring. And the rush of wind. So this is what I'd consider the point where if you haven't played the game and you were interested in it, to go and pursue it yourself. Because me talking over the top doesn't do the general presentation of this game justice. I like the use of the guy, Mark, who speaks to you over the telecom device. Radio, that's the word. He's not telling me, oh, do this, do that, you need to get to this location, like a certain other game which starts with Mirror's Edge but has a subtitle that begins with C and ends with Atlas. This is another one of those rooms where if you don't exactly know where to go, you can die very quickly. Is there a lot of trial and error in this? Yeah, kind of. You don't have to follow exactly what the devs intend, you can do things in a slightly different way, and the chase sequence in the first level, first proper level, actually did that. So at times it feels like it's trial and error to find the exact right route they intend and do it in enough time. We should probably talk some more about the guns, just because there's a big massive one on that table that it wants you to pick up. A common thing that I heard people saying around the time this came out was that DICE were making a game that was just a platformer like this, and then the higher-ups at EA told them, put guns in it. I encountered a video which was a little concept video from the sketch level to a mock-up animation to a prototype to gameplay. But it included a gun in all these steps that Faith just carried. I think it was a pistol. And, you know, the first sketch prototype actually has a bit of gun foo to it, you know, the first animation as well. And it almost feels like they stripped it back. So I did a little research, and again, the senior producer says that they actually cut back on guns during development. They decided to strip it back because they said, if you give somebody a weapon straight out of the box, then they think it's a shooter. And I think that is very, very relevant. Okay, red cranes in the distance. Such a nice touch, because they're going to become very important. And this is the moment where it really wants you to kill them. So your choices are either to run them in circles until they get stuck behind geometry, or fight them. Notice how those cranes that we saw earlier are still red. Levels have a sense of cohesion to them, like, oh yeah, I was at this area before and now I'm closer to so-and-so destination. Are we gonna get to see NVIDIA physics technology at work? Hope you saw those little bits of cloth flying around. Look at all this physics technology going on. Haha. Maybe we'll get to see some bits of plastic getting shot out and breaking apart in a cloth dynamic fashion. The finest that 2008 has to offer us. Yes! This is the way to go. And now my favorite moment in the game. Coming up right here. Hope you enjoy. Hello. That was an interesting, you know, slide into punch. That's I've done that one before, yeah. Think we're gonna see another rat here. There it is! Yay! Let's talk about the lack of a HUD, because it's very noticeable. I have not turned off HUD elements here. In fact, I've kept on the only HUD element, this little reticle in the middle. You know when dancers spin? They use a very similar technique. I've forgotten what the technique is called. There is a name for it. But they do that to stop themselves from getting dizzy.
Get ready to fight.
Yeah. Hey, another combat segment. Guess what? You can choose this one. Also, you might have seen that you can actually go across the upper level there. Please, no. Please, no train. Please, no train. No train! Like, it's cool that you can go up to that higher area, but I wouldn't bother doing that because it's just easier to run around them like that. While it would be cooler though to go up the top, I don't know how you'd get about that. The approach that I think they should have taken is have those multiple, almost parallel routes that overlap and incentivize players to replay it and find the fastest of the routes, which maybe requires a little more skill and finesse to achieve, to reach. Almost like... I'm gonna wait. Almost like if you know the Boost Sonic games, they follow that principle. And yes, it has to do with these trains! They can die to the train! Oh my goodness! This is my favorite area. Alright, here we are. Here we are. This is it. They don't tell you until it's too late. Like the line, if you're trying to acknowledge what's happening there, it will have passed and you'll be dead.
There's a train coming behind you. Get the hell out of there.
The game tries to sell this idea that it's the big riot against the government that causes everything. I think the thing to take from this is that surveillance and monitoring usually isn't a big, massive, sudden change. It comes in slowly. I mean, we're selling our information to private companies for small benefits, basically, because the average person doesn't know truly what their data is worth. And it's true, whenever you sign one of those privacy policies and you don't read it, that's exactly what you're doing. It's sort of amazing that a game from 2008 could still have you thinking about these things, you know? This game didn't exactly like break new ground with its messaging and idea of a... This is things that people have been saying since... God, like the late 1800s and early 1900s. You know, you have Brave New World, 1984, to an extent, Fahrenheit 451. A lot of these now classic works of fiction that have become pervasive in our other media. It'll be funny to go from this to Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which was made after a lot of these things came up with the NSA and the private companies using your data. You may or may not know that I don't like Mirror's Edge Catalyst very much. I don't think it's a terrible game. I think it's a very sad example of wasted potential.
Shots fired. Repeat, shots fired.
And I can't wait to talk about that in more detail, but that comes later. And a little camera shake when you land on a pipe. There is this sense of momentum, not just in how long it takes you to build up speed, but in first-person animation with shakes of the camera. Oh. I don't know why. I understand when it's fast, why you would maybe go BAM! And hit the button like that. When there's no tension, when there's no speed, I don't understand why she mashes the button with her fist. You know those big marshmallows? That isn't the right way to go. I didn't know you could do that. Important to note about this segment is that, once again, you can ignore all the people with snipers. But there's, again, a lot of trial and error to that. There's the... Hey! Hey, you broke my skybox! Thank you for standing still in open sight in front of a sniper. You guys are... I can see why they're opting for private security firms. Oh, what was the timing on that? Did you just see that? Okay, I know your timing now. Cheeky, cheeky, cheeky. Ha ha ha! Whoa! You see that moment where you slide and then you look one way and then the other? That feels so good. There they are! And they actually chase you! Wow, wasn't that so amazing? This area is really cool, because you hear their footsteps behind you. See that? With the footsteps, and you can hear them coming round the corner. This wonderful, wonderful level. The docks. This is what we're doing. Time to get comfy. Have a drink. So, you up to much? Do you like sports? Did you see the game last week? And I mean the weather. Oh, the weather's been all over the place. Hey! No! And you may be thinking, oh, they're trying to load in a lot. Well, remember, we've had basically 2 arenas here. Loading screen. Another one. What are they loading here? Oh, all the huge areas and incredible numbers of assets they had to load in for shimmying across some poles. Oh look! Oh great! No, 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 no! For a game where moving side to side isn't very convenient, is a pain. And I mean, they try to do this in Catalyst, which is working a better melee combat system, but in that game it just devolved into you running up a wall, spinning around and kicking people. That's pretty cool. We're past the worst of it, and we're back to rooftops and actual gameplay. Isn't that something? Can you do this? I think this is one of the ones where you can... Please? No. Wait, can I shoot the ones chasing me? Oh my god, you can kill them! Like, they were non-lethal opponents, and I just shot them. Punch the button, bam! Punch the button, bam! That wasn't it. Like, I remember when YouTube videos were like, here's the thing you're looking for, 15 seconds, not, hey guys, what's up? It's me, your boy, Game Revo. And it's like 10 minutes long. You shoot it. You shoot it. Where was it? Where was it? Okay, forget this. Thank you to Solider. Just pretend this is me playing it. There it is! There it is! So, this is meant to be a nice chill afternoon. I lied. It hasn't been the afternoon for quite a while. It is 7 PM currently. Oh my god, that still gives me goosebumps. My favorite level in the game. Not design-wise, not like gameplay-wise necessarily, but just aesthetics and this layout. Trying to sell this idea of the shard being the center of everything that's meant to be good in this city. And we need through that door. So here's one of my problems with the shard. It's a problem with a lot of the later levels. And to be honest, even some of the earlier ones. No. No! Woo! Hey, it's another shell section. Let's try going this way. I've never tried this way. No, don't walk away from me. I don't appreciate that. Yes! So again, not forced combat, but then you press this button and you have to wait. Yeah, let's talk about the shard while we're standing here. The game released in 2008. The shard in the game, as they just said, was built in 2012. The following year after Mirror's Edge released, construction on London's shard began and concluded in 2012, and it's also a mix of commercial and residential properties with an observation deck. So...
Faith, are you reading me? I'm in the security room, tracking you on the camera. Get out of the elevator, they're coming.
If you're gonna, after watching this, if you're gonna do one thing, aside from, you know, play the game, you should absolutely go listen to the music in the shard.
Heard them say you're in the elevator.
Because it is incredible. Would you say Mirror's Edge is underrated? Not really, because it became a cult hit. People constantly talk about it, and it came out of a weird time for EA. They were moving on from licensed games because THQ a couple of years later would actually go under because of their heavy reliance on licensed games. EA, very unlikely of them, very odd, was they hit an experimental phase. They wanted their developers to work on new IP. In the 3 years, 2007 to 2009, EA, in their experimental period, actually made a lot of the IP that people associate with them now. But at the time, were brand new. Like Mass Effect, Dead Space, Skate, Army of Two, The Saboteur, okay, maybe not so much of those ones, but Dragon Age, and of course Mirror's Edge. It was relatively short-lived period, because once a lot of these IPs picked up in a big way, well, EA did what any company would do and started making the sequels to them. From my little bit of research, supposedly they were expecting about 3 million units to be sold, but by the start of 2009, the following year, they had about 1 million. In June 2013, they said that it sold about 2.5 million units. It got close to their sales hopes, but it took a while. And there we are. This was the shot you see of the city that made me really want an open world Mirror's Edge. And when they announced that Mirror's Edge 2, soon to be Mirror's Edge Catalyst, would be open world, I was very excited, but the game we got wasn't what I expected. It wasn't a sequel to this. There's a reason this is one of my favorite games. I mean, an absolute whiplash from quality and design. You're going at high speeds, trying to make decisions quickly as possible, with a beautiful, beautiful art style that helps emphasize that gameplay style. This game came out 11 years ago, and it still looks amazing aside from a few low quality textures. And it's these little decisions to go against the grain that made it so good. I bought this game for £8 from a HMV. it was totally worth it.